What's up, y'all? Looking forward to being undisputed in September. Let's get it. It's work time.
Terence Crawford just flipped the script on everyone doubting him against Canelo. For months, critics called him undersized and outmatched, but he just silenced them all with a jaw-dropping weight announcement. And to make it even louder, Terence dropped a chilling video, a clear warning to Canelo. Tim Bradley, in his recent interview, described this fight as a career-defining moment for Terence Crawford. He emphasized that it's more than just another challenge. It's Crawford's opportunity to prove he is the best fighter on the planet.
I think Crawford, this is a chance for Crawford. This is mainly a chance for Crawford to show the entire world, man, that he's the best fighter on the planet. That's just it. After this, there should be no question, and that's what he wants.
Bradley highlighted Crawford's willingness to take this risk, fully believing in his ability to make history.
He doesn't want he's willing to take that risk, so there's no question of who the best fighter on planet Earth is. And he truly believes that with all his heart. So he gets this win, it's huge. I don't know how big it is. I really don't.
Caleb Plant has also openly backed Terence Crawford ahead of the Canelo-Alvarez showdown, offering praise for Crawford's unique abilities in the ring. According to Plant, Crawford is a freakishly strong fighter who possesses a combination of power and versatility, able to fight from both orthodox and southpaw stances. Plant highlighted that Crawford's ability to adapt to different ranges, mid, close, and outside, makes him an exciting and unpredictable opponent for anyone, including Canelo.
I give him a chance. Terence is freakishly strong. He can punch. He's got good crack. He can fight from both ways. Orthodox, southpaw, he can fight at mid-range, close range, outside, and he can fight going both ways, so it's exciting. It's a big question mark on the end of it, though, so that's why, I'm sure all of us are excited for that bell to ring and, be able to find out firsthand.
On the other hand, Juan Manuel Marquez, another respected figure in boxing, offered a more cautious take on the fight. While he acknowledged the skills of Terence Crawford, Marquez believes that the weight difference between the two fighters could play a significant role in the outcome. Canelo, at 2 divisions above Crawford, might have the physical advantage, and Marquez suggested that this could lead to a potential knockout victory for Canelo.
It would be a good fight, but I think the difference is 2 divisions in the weight class, and I think it's a dangerous fight for Terence Crawford.
So you see Canelo winning by knockout, or?
Maybe yes.
Yeah?
Maybe Canelo wins by knockout.
The question of whether a smaller fighter can defeat a bigger, stronger opponent has been a topic of debate for years in boxing. As discussed by Teddy Atlas, the sport's rich history is filled with instances where smaller fighters have overcome size discrepancies by using their speed, technique, and intelligence.
We believe we had the Crawford. It looked like we had the Crawford. We were talking about that. Can a really great small guy beat a really good big guy? We were getting into that mind frame again. Some people were saying, oh, Canelo's too big, forget it. But we were getting into the right mind frame, with this great sweet science, with this sport that goes back longer than any other sport in the world, where catch weights used to be in the 20s to 30. Little guys beat big guys.
Instead of focusing solely on Canelo's size as a disadvantage, Atlas encouraged looking at it from a different angle. He argued that Crawford could be too quick, too slick, and too special in his technique to allow Canelo to fully capitalize on his size advantage.
Okay, can this great guy Crawford, can he, instead of looking at it as a disadvantage that Canelo is so big, can we look at it that maybe he'll be too smart, too slick, too quick, you know what I mean? Too special in those areas, not to allow Canelo to use his size and his counterpunching and everything else.
Atlas compared the fight to a matador and a bull, suggesting that while the bull, Canelo, might seem powerful, the matador, Crawford, has the skill to outmaneuver and control the fight. This idea underscores the essence of boxing as a sport that rewards technique and strategy, not just raw strength.
And that's what the sweet science is about. It's not supposed to be just about, letting a bull run out into the bull ring and then wait until the matador puts a spear in. It's supposed to be about the bull actually having a chance to outslick the Matador.
Similarly, in an interview with Fight Hub TV, Errol Spence Jr. made it clear that he stands firmly behind Terence Crawford in his upcoming fight against Canelo Alvarez. Expressing his unwavering support, Spence stated, "I'll be going for Bud. If he fights Canelo, I'll be going for him. I don't know if he's going to win or lose, but I'll definitely be going for Crawford. I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off. He's chasing greatness, so why not?" Canelo went up to 175 and fought Kovalev and fought the other guy, Bivol, too. He started at 147, so if he did it, why can't Bud do it? Spence's comments highlight his belief in Crawford's abilities despite the size difference. Moving on, the weight difference between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford has been a major talking point even before the fight was confirmed. Many experts have criticized the matchup, arguing that the significant size gap makes it an unfair contest. Among them, Jeff Mayweather has voiced, arguing that it isn't a fair matchup. He believes that both Canelo and Crawford are simply too far apart in size, making it an unnecessary risk for the smaller fighter.
That's a tough one. I mean, I think Terence got tremendous skill set. But I don't know. He's jumping 3 weight classes. You know, I mean, at 154, he didn't look as good as Terence Crawford that we know.
Similarly, Johnny Nelson shared his doubts, stating, "Yeah, I think the weight and size will play a big impact in the fight. I think Canelo is a really clever fighter, but I'm not sure he was the fighter he once was 5 or 6 years ago. I think that Canelo beats Crawford, to be honest, if not stops him because of that gulf in size." Nelson's comments reflect the broader skepticism among analysts, who believe that the physical disparity might be too much for Crawford to overcome. Mikey Garcia shares a similar viewpoint, stating that while Crawford is one of the most skilled fighters he has ever seen, the physical difference cannot be ignored.
I'm not a big fan of that fight matchmaking because they're too many weight classes apart. And although the skills, Crawford is one of the best fighters that I've seen.
He pointed out that Crawford already faced some struggles when moving up to 154 pounds, whereas Canelo had been comfortably competing at 168 for years.
Now, Canelo is, fighting at 168. Crawford just moved up to 154, and he had some trouble with that in that fight.
Garcia acknowledges that Crawford may have an advantage in skill, but in his view, size and power will ultimately dictate the outcome. He believes that this fight isn't about who the better boxer is, but rather whether the contest itself is fair, and in his opinion, it isn't.
I think Canelo wins that fight based on just the size, power and size. Now, skill-wise, I think Crawford's a better skilled fighter, but the difference in size will be the deciding factor, and that's why I'm not even a fan of that fight.
Jeff Mayweather, a seasoned trainer, also leans toward Canelo for similar reasons.
That's a tough one. I mean, I think Terence got tremendous skill set. But I don't know. He's jumping 3 weight classes. You know, I mean, at 154, he didn't look as good as Terence Crawford that we know.
While he respects Crawford's talent and adaptability inside the ring, he questions whether Crawford can withstand the physicality of an opponent who has spent years dominating at super middleweight. For Mayweather, this fight comes down to weight class, and in that regard, Canelo has a clear advantage.
With Canelo being at 68 and being at 68 as long as he's been, I mean, I think that Crawford's going to probably give him a great fight as well, but I lean slightly toward Canelo, and that's just because of the size, not because of the skills.
Eddie Hearn also expressed concerns about this size difference even before the fight was finalized, noting that Crawford moving up so many divisions puts him at a major disadvantage. According to Hearn, even if Crawford performs well, his size deficit might make victory nearly impossible.
I'll be honest, I'd be very surprised if that fight happens. I think His Excellency has been pushing that fight. It didn't seem like it was something that Canelo was really up for, to be honest. And like, when I've spoken to Canelo before about that fight, I think his kind of feeling is, when I beat Crawford, everyone's going to say I've beaten a 154 pounder.
He also mentioned that Canelo initially showed little interest in this fight, knowing that a win against a much smaller opponent would not earn him much credit.
And he also, I think, at his age as well, I don't think he wants to be fighting guys that are just moving all the time, and he wants people to come to fight. And Crawford can't really come to fight like that in that fight because he's at a massive size disadvantage and he can't be standing in front of him. I don't think that fight will happen.
For months, many critics questioned if Crawford could truly hang with a bigger, stronger opponent like Canelo, given the size and weight disparity between the two. However, in a move that shocked the boxing world, Crawford posted a picture on social media revealing his new weight, 186 pounds, up from his usual 168 pounds. This sudden shift in his physical transformation, including a noticeable increase in muscle mass, sent ripples throughout the boxing community, forcing experts and fans alike to reconsider their predictions. Following this social media flex, Crawford further raised eyebrows with a video message where he confidently declared his plans for the fight, signaling that he's prepared to face Canelo head-on.
What's up, y'all? I'm looking forward to being undisputed in September. Let's get it. It's work time.
The news of Crawford's dramatic weight change was first broken by Gareth A. Davies during an interview with Shakur Stevenson on TalkSport. Davies, who had encountered Crawford in Dubai, took note of the fighter's newfound bulk. Observing that Crawford had noticeably put on weight, Davies highlighted how important this transformation could be for Crawford's chances against Canelo, who holds a significant size advantage.
And I ran into Terence in Dubai, and he's much thicker now, isn't he? He's really thickened out recently. And he's 38, for God's sake. He has thickened out.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I don't think Canelo is just walking through his punches. Terence can punch, and I think it goes for any weight class.
Terence Crawford has always been no stranger to drastic changes in weight, and Tim Bradley pointed out that this isn't the first time the champion has undergone a significant transformation, as Crawford previously moved up from 135 pounds to 168 pounds. Bradley emphasized how rare and difficult such a weight shift can be in boxing, especially when a fighter moves up to take on a dominant champion like Canelo.
I don't think there's been anybody in the sport of boxing that ever came from 135 all the way up to 168 pounds and beat the best guy out there. So this would be uncharted territory for the sport. Where that ranks at, I don't know. I gotta, again, it sounds crazy, but Crawford will be considered definitely one of the best fighters on planet if he can get this win on planet Earth, or this generation at least. But as far as overall, I don't know where that'll put him. I'll let the fans decide that.
Before Terence Crawford's recent weight reveal, many fighters had already been leaning toward him despite the doubts about his size. David Benavidez, speaking on the Ariel Helwani show, acknowledged that Crawford had been preparing for a move up in weight for a long time, which made his chances against Canelo more calculated than risky.
It's a good fight, it's a good fight for both of them. Good fight for I think it's more important for Crawford than anybody, but I think if anybody could beat Canelo, I think Crawford could. I think it's just, the size plays a massive difference.
Benavidez gave Crawford a solid 7 out of 10 chance, emphasizing that Crawford's exceptional skill set could be the key to overcoming Canelo, no matter the size difference.
I think you give him like a 7 out of a 10.
Oh, wow, that high. I thought you were going to say like 25 just because of the size.
Good. Crawford is good, and
of course.
I think he's been known that he's going to fight Canelo for a long time, and Crawford, he likes to pick up the weight, so I'm sure he's been working on the weights for a long time.
Roy Jones Jr. also downplayed the significance of the weight disparity, focusing on strategy and execution. Jones pointed out that the outcome of the fight would depend more on the fighter's tactics and mindset than on sheer size. He suggested that if Crawford could control the center of the ring and dictate the pace, he could potentially upset Canelo regardless of any weight advantage the Mexican champion might have. This belief in Crawford's abilities was echoed by several others who felt that the fight would ultimately come down to strategy, not just size.
The weight won't be the factor. The factor will be how Canelo chooses to make the fight. If Canelo comes out there what Canelo should do, Canelo wins the fight. Canelo comes out and does what he shouldn't do, Crawford wins the fight.
With Crawford, what are Crawford's keys to victory when you are fighting someone like Canelo, who, albeit maybe not in height, but in stature, is a much bigger man than him?
Control the center of the ring. If Crawford is allowed to control the center, he'll win.
Shakur Stevenson firmly believes that Crawford's style is perfectly suited to defeat Canelo, and he's confident that Crawford's speed, movement, and skill will prove to be too much for the Mexican fighter. Stevenson's confidence went beyond just winning. He predicted that Crawford could make the fight look easier than many expected, suggesting that Crawford's style could neutralize Canelo's strengths in ways others might not anticipate.
Honestly, I've been saying this for years now. I think I'm probably one of the first people that have been said this. Even before Terence was saying this, like, I always thought that his style versus Canelo, I think that he beats Canelo. I ain't gonna say it'd be an easy fight, but he can make it a very easy fight. So.
For Bozy Ennis, it all comes down to movement and strategy. He emphasized that Crawford's ability to stay off the ropes, avoid unnecessary punches, and control the tempo would be crucial in this fight.
Canelo Alvarez.
That's a good fight, man.
What do you think about that fight?
That's a good fight. It's a good fight. That's what I can tell you. It's a good fight. And what you want to know? Who I think?
No, just break it down.
Well,
what do you think the pros and cons are?
This is what I'm gonna tell you. This. If Crawford box him and move. Box and move, and when he's ready to throw the punches, tie him up. And frustrating, I think Crawford can beat him.
Ennis believes that Crawford's adaptability and ring IQ would play a significant role in overcoming the weight disadvantage.
When Crawford fight Canelo, just don't lay against the ropes, taking them shots, arm and on, and just frustrate him, man. You know what I mean? Move, get them legs right, and you want to move for the whole round, the whole 12 round. If you got to do it, do it. You know what I mean? That's the only way you're gonna win. You got the boxing and tie him up. Don't let him set. And I see Crawford can be victorious. You know what I mean? But if you don't do that, it's gonna be a different situation.
The anticipated Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez fight is undoubtedly one of the most anticipated in boxing right now. However, the lead up to this matchup has been nothing short of a roller coaster ride. Last week, boxing fans were left in shock when Saudi promoter Turkey dropped a bombshell about a potential Canelo versus Jake Paul fight, throwing the Crawford-Canelo showdown into uncertainty. The announcement sent ripples through the boxing world, especially as Eddie Hearn, a prominent boxing promoter, confirmed the news.
So, listen, everything can change overnight, as you saw.
Yeah,
so don't rule out Canelo Crawford, but as I'm hearing, Canelo Jake Paul is done. And I get it. Yeah, I'll watch it.
He pointed out that a fight between Canelo and Jake Paul made more financial sense, as it brought together two massive stars with wide fan bases.
It just fell through. Yeah. But it sounds to me that the move to fight Jake Paul has just maybe derailed the other fight. But I don't blame Canelo Alvarez, because financially, the bigger fight is Canelo Jake Paul. Yeah. Because in that fight, you got two big stars. Yeah. You know, in the other fight, you got two great fighters.
This news sparked outrage and confusion among boxing experts. Tony Bellew shared his thoughts on the possible Canelo versus Jake Paul fight, stating that Canelo would easily defeat Jake if the fight went ahead. Bellew predicted that Canelo could knock out Paul in less than 30 seconds.
There's been talk of him and Jake Paul, but it's hard to see that happening at this stage of his career. Maybe a few years down the line.
I just don't.
You think he'd actually do that?
Yeah, he would do it 100%. I mean,
for the money, yeah. He's a money-making machine, isn't he?
Flatten Jake Paul.
Yeah.
It'd take him about 30 seconds, and the reason it'd take 30 seconds is because he'd probably be laughing for 20.
Some took the idea of a Canelo-Paul fight even less seriously. Eric Jackman, while acknowledging Jake Paul's boxing achievements, dismissed the matchup as a joke. Jackman made it clear that Jake Paul was nowhere near Canelo's level, and no amount of hype could change that.
I respect what Jake Paul has done in a very short time in boxing. He is not a boxer the caliber of Canelo Alvarez. He will never be a boxer the caliber of Canelo Alvarez.
However, the storm surrounding the fight finally calmed when Turkey announced that he was preparing new plans for Canelo, shifting away from the Jake Paul fight.
Canelo in Riyadh in May, the big fight in the history of boxing. In September, then two more fights in 26. Don't miss with the line.
Canelo Alvarez responded to Jake Paul's accusations by disregarding the YouTuber-turned-boxer, urging fans not to pay him any attention. This revelation created chaos within Jake Paul's camp, leading to an instant response from Canelo. In a video, Canelo Alvarez fired back at Jake Paul by telling fans not to pay attention to him. He made it clear that he only competes against real fighters, dismissing Paul as unworthy of his time. Canelo emphasized that his focus remains on legitimate challenges within the boxing world, not on engaging in a spectacle with Paul.
Hey guys, don't pay attention in anything in this fucking YouTuber. I just fight real fighters. Don't fucking around with Canelo. Come on, let's go.
After that, Jake went full mad at Canelo and made a video where Jake expressed his frustration without holding back. He claimed that a contract for a fight set for February 11th had already been signed. Paul quickly shared the signed contract on social media, accusing Canelo of dodging a legitimate challenge. He criticized Canelo for opting to fight Terence Crawford, a fighter moving up in weight instead of taking on someone like David Benavidez. Jake called out what he saw as hypocrisy in Canelo's claim of fighting real fighters, arguing that he was avoiding a true challenge in Benavidez.
Oh, Canelo, you puta.
And this YouTuber, I just fight real fighters.
Time to expose them. So we had a signed contract to fight. Here you can see Canelo's signature and my signature to the right. Claiming he's not fighting YouTubers. Bullshit. Look at the poster. We were announcing Tuesday, February 11th. Claiming he fights real fighters, but he's fighting Crawford, a 135-pound fighter, and running from a real fighter like David Benavidez, you... The truth is, you can be bought. You're a money-hungry squirrel.
Jake Paul did not end there. He even posted a mocking video roasting Canelo Alvarez, where he could be seen doing shirtless dance. Jake playfully taunted Canelo Alvarez while dancing and soaking in the rhythm of Mexican music.
Canelo, I'm coming, my puta.
Michael Bisping strongly criticized Jake Paul for his dramatic reaction to the canceled fight with Canelo Alvarez. He called out Paul for disrespectfully calling out Canelo, making videos with a sombrero and shirtless, and accusing Canelo of ducking him. Bisping believed that Paul's actions were a blatant attempt at gaining attention and stirring controversy, all while showing no respect for the sport or Canelo.
Jake Paul is at it again, making an absolute fool out of himself. Calling out Canelo Alvarez, making videos, dancing around in a sombrero with his shirt off, paying absolutely no respect, and saying that Canelo Alvarez is ducking him and showing contracts, and apparently they were all signed to fight, but then he's terrified and he's gone off to Saudi Arabia and he's selling his soul and all the rest of it. Shut the hell up, Jake.
Juan Manuel Marquez also shared his disapproval of the whole situation. He expressed his dislike for the idea of a YouTuber like Jake Paul fighting a real boxer like Canelo, arguing that Paul's motivation was primarily money. Marquez felt the fight would not be a legitimate contest and that it was a move driven by financial gain rather than the competitive spirit of boxing.
There's been a big thing that Jake Paul was calling out Canelo and the fight got scrapped up, you know.
I don't like to see that those fights because, you know, I'm a YouTuber fighter with a real boxer. I don't like it.
But, you know, Jake Paul, he's been calling out Canelo for a while.
Yeah, I think Jake Paul wants to fight with Canelo just for money. And then I don't like it.
After the cancellation of the Jake Paul versus Canelo Alvarez fight, fans were left speculating about who Canelo would fight next. Names like Jermall Charlo and Bruno Saras were thrown into the mix, but Turki Alalshik quickly ended the suspense with an official announcement. He took to Twitter and declared, "The legend Saul Alvarez Canelo will fight William Skull in an undisputed fight in Riyadh on the 3rd of May. If he wins the fight in September, it will see him be undisputed again." However, the reaction to the replacement was far from enthusiastic. Juan Manuel Marquez openly dismissed Skull's credibility, questioning his recognition in the sport despite holding the IBF title. His remarks reflected a broader sentiment in the boxing community, where many saw Skull as an underwhelming choice compared to the previous buzz around the Jake Paul fight.
Easy fight. Juan, tell me your opinion on Canelo versus William Skull. That just got official.
I don't know what's gonna happen, but William Skull is nobody. He's nobody in the sport of boxing.
It's for an IBF belt.
Yeah, it's an IBF champion, but you know William Skull? I don't know William Skull.
The skepticism didn't stop there. Showbiz the Adult echoed similar doubts, admitting that Skull was an unfamiliar name even to those closely following the sport.
And I was just thinking to myself, who is William Skull? I never watched him fight. I don't recall ever calling any of his fights, and so...
While acknowledging Skull's undefeated record and Cuban boxing background, he pointed out the lack of excitement surrounding his fights. The comparison to Erislandy Lara, another Cuban fighter who once gave Canelo a tough challenge, briefly surfaced, but the general consensus remained that Skull did not bring the same level of threat or marketability.
So I look up William Skull, and, you know, of course, it jumps out at you that he's undefeated. Also jumps out that it doesn't seem like he has a lot of power. But then I look and I see that he's a Cuban fighter, and I immediately say, uh-oh, right? Because when I think of a Cuban fighter, Canelo Alvarez, I think of Lara. But that doesn't mean that William Skull is a Lara. It doesn't even mean that he's a slick fighter. We all saw Morrell versus David Benavidez.
Despite the ups and downs, all eyes are now firmly on the showdown between Canelo and Crawford in September. Both fighters are elite, but many experts have leaned toward Canelo due to his size and experience. However, Crawford's recent weight revelation has shaken things up in a big way, injecting new life into the debate. Crawford's physical transformation has sent shockwaves through the boxing community, with many now viewing him as a more serious contender against Canelo. Even before the weight gain, Crawford's exceptional skills and ring IQ had earned him the reputation of a fighter capable of troubling larger opponents. His ability to adapt and outthink bigger rivals was already a talking point, but his latest weight update shows that he's not just relying on technique, he's now physically prepared to face a bigger man in Canelo. This new development has made the fight even more intriguing, leaving fans and analysts eager to see how it all unfolds in September. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. What do you think about Terence Crawford's new weight? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's talk about how this could impact his fight with Canelo.